Now, back to Access Tech Live, a CES special. The latest in tech and accessibility with Stephen Scott and Marc Aflalo.
We're back on our CES special with the CEO and co-founder of Kalogon, a company that is set out to disrupt the wheelchair industry with a cushion that is completely customizable by its user. But how? This is an incredible piece of technology by the sounds of it. Tim Balz, I'm so glad that you're here with us because we need to know more. Tell us about Kalogon and your cushion.
Yeah, so thanks so much for having me. So Kalogon, we do smart seating. So we've started in the wheelchair market where we've created a cushion that when you sit down, it'll detect your body and it'll automatically tune to you. So it'll change to match the curvature of your body. But it also, a clinician can take an app and actually tune and adjust the cushion based on exactly what seating that individual needs.
Tim, you're quoted as saying that you want to disrupt the wheelchair industry, and I love that statement. I'm curious where all this began. Where does your story start?
Yeah, so back in high school, I actually founded a nonprofit where I would refurbish electric wheelchairs and give them away. And so that's kind of where I started learning about the technology and learning about all these unmet needs. And so from there, just a long journey that got me here, everything from designing wheelchairs to even getting to do some work that was recognized by Stephen Hawking, and then left SpaceX to start this company to solve the problems of seating.
Now, Tim, you've got the cushion there with you. Can you perhaps show us it and maybe give us a bit of an audio description of it? I'm blind, so if you can describe it for me, please, that would be helpful. Just to give us a sense of what this device is.
Yeah, so this is one of the versions of our products. This is actually the one that we do with the Air Force, but it uses the same technology that we use for the wheelchair market. Most of them are about 18 inches by 18 inches. They're about 3.5 inches tall. It's got a black cover on it with blue accents down the side, and it looks just like a normal wheelchair cushion on the outside, but on the inside it's so much more. We've got these electronics and these air bladders that work in unison with the foam to give you that customized seating experience.
Now, Tim, you mentioned a clinician customizing it for somebody, but is the intention for somebody to be able to control it themselves and actually tweak it as they need throughout a day, for example?
Absolutely. So it really all depends on the individual's, the cognitive function the individual has. So for a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll have different profiles for different activities. So if you're eating, for example, you might want the cushion to kind of lift up on the back so that when you're leaning forward, it still supports you well. And that's where with the app, if the clinician sets it up, you can have as many different settings as you want. And with one click of the button, you get a completely different seating experience.
Tim, it sounds very interesting, and I love the idea of being able to customize this. Have you had any chance to get feedback from users at this stage to be able to get a sense of how this product is going in the real world?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got hundreds of these cushions in the field. We've sold to over 40 VA hospitals. The product itself was really developed in partnership with customers and clinicians. So every iteration we did, we were getting as much feedback as possible so that we would build what was right, not what our engineers thought someone might want.
And of course, Tim, there's a market here beyond people who are in wheelchairs, right? I mean, there are lots of people who may sit around at home or sit in an office all day, for example, who, again, think about someone who works in a call center, for example, might be sitting in a chair for 8 hours solid. This could be something that could be really useful. And I think the benefit, as I often think about it, is the more mainstream these products can become, then that price point can start to come down and make it more accessible to more people. Is that in your mind?
Oh, absolutely. That's really the thought process here is we bring the best of technology to people with disabilities, but we do it so well that it can drive value to anyone. And along this line, we actually just released the data from our inaugural seating and sitting survey, where we actually found that more than 50% of people in the US are sitting for 8 hours a day for things like their jobs or for one reason or another. And that's where once we can start addressing those markets, we can truly bring down the cost for everyone.
Tim, you've worked with companies, as you said, like SpaceX, and that's where you actually credit your learning of how to disrupt an industry. Do you feel that you've achieved that with this product?
I think we're well on our way. I think Kalogon is clearly the technology leader, but we're still on our way to become the market leader in wheelchair seating specifically. And so, that's a whole different challenge. So we've disrupted in terms of what the state of the art is, but we haven't yet managed to get it where we can make it accessible to everyone who needs our tech. So along with that, we actually just started shipping today a second product that leverages our technology that can actually plug into some of the more affordable wheelchair cushions on the market and resolve some of the safety issues with them. And so really, we're on step 2 of a 3 or 4 step plan to be able to make a product for every single person who utilizes a wheelchair.
Can you describe that other product and tell us how it actually works?
Yeah, so what I've got here, I'm holding a device. It's a little bit bigger than a deck of cards. What it does is it plugs into these air cushions that are very, very common on the marketplace. So these air cushions, you have to set the pressure just right. And per the manual on those cushions, every single day a clinician has to put 2 fingers under your butt to feel if it's at the right pressure. So that's really hard to maintain. And if you get a leak, it becomes very dangerous very quickly. So our device plugs in and utilizes our existing air pressure control technology to maintain that pressure and ensure that you don't have to every day worry about your cushion being at incorrect settings and possibly causing a life-threatening condition like a pressure injury.
So you mentioned that this is something that could be almost retrofitted onto existing wheelchair cushions, and of course you've got this new cushion coming out. What price are we talking here? What are people expected to pay for both your products? So this one is one that will attach to just about any cushion on the marketplace. So this one is in the $400 range, which is about what people are paying for those other air cushions, but it lasts significantly longer than those cushions. So it's really quite a great buy on this product. For our other higher end cushions, those ones are actually made to order for the customer. So it depends on what kind of condition they have and what kind of special features they need in terms of what the final price point is for that one. Tim, I just want to ask you one more from me, and that is about the mainstream tech media response to products like yours. You know, here at Access Tech Live, we pride ourselves on talking about disability and accessibility and technology as much as possible. What kind of mainstream tech media reaction do you get from a product like yours?
I mean, what's really exciting is a lot of people immediately understand how far-reaching the potential for this technology is. You know, initially when we were just talking about just the wheelchair market, before we had proof points of our technology in other markets, you know, we were able to get some coverage, but it wasn't nearly as significant. Like, we've gotten TechCrunch and Forbes, but what's really exciting is as people realize that this technology can truly benefit anyone who sits, it almost magnifies the response that we've been able to get here recently.
Tim, so what's next for you guys before we let you go here? What's on the horizon for 2024 for Kalogon?
So we have multiple new products that we're really excited about. I can't share all of them yet, but what I do have here is a product that we have just completed our first contract and gotten a follow-on contract with the U.S. Air Force. So think about pilots who have to sit for sometimes 30-hour missions. That is so hard on their bodies, and it's so difficult for them to be effective. So this product here is one that we've been testing for over a year with our partners at the Air Force. And what's amazing is the technology, some of the things we've developed and new technology we've deployed into this, we've already been able to redeploy those and actually benefit disabled veterans. So I just think that's so cool that in this past year, we've gotten this new product, and the learnings from it, from deploying it, are already benefiting end users who have disabilities. So that's really exciting to me.
Now, listen, I can see the use case just sitting here doing a show once a week, let alone being in a cockpit of a plane. Thank you so much for taking the time to showcase the tech. Congratulations to all your success. We hope to follow up with you, obviously, in a couple months and see what's new with you, with the company as it evolves.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Coming up, guys, a company whose goal is to promote safe and independent outdoor mobility for blind and partially sighted people. We'll learn about Lighthouse Tech after a quick break on the Access Tech Live CES Special.
This is Access Tech Live CES Special. Follow us on social media at Access Tech Live. We'll be right back.